The gaming landscape has witnessed a crazy surge in independent games over the past couple of years, and they're making billions of dollars, which is awesome because the mainstream industry has abandoned the very people who made it successful in the first place. Ubisoft's, BioWare's, Obsidian's, they don't care about what we have to say or what we want. And well, if they don't have to make games for us, we do not have to buy games from them. And I recently did an interview with an independent developer and talked about their upcoming game, but I also wanted to just talk about the state of indies in totality. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I love to use my platform for good. I personally think that talking about the state of the industry is good because if we do not call out these companies and try to tell them what they're doing wrong and why they're making less money than they previously did, then they're never going to change. And I do think it's important for gamers to speak up and ultimately vote with their wallets if they feel strongly enough. But I also love to put the spotlight on independent studios and developers who are trying to make really good products. And I recently did an interview with the lead developer of Knight's Path. It is an upcoming game in 2023, December 2023, Knight's Path the Tournament was released to very positive reviews on Steam. It's a short medieval RPG featuring challenging combat, an immersive progression system, and a nice story. It serves as an announcement, a combat concept demo, and a teaser for their upcoming open-world RPG Knight's Path, which is currently in active development. And when this launched, it actually did really good. As you can see, very positive, hundreds of reviews, really great situation all around. And I love to see people just trying to create genuinely high quality experiences. I highly recommend that you actually go and you download the demo, give it a shot. It's only a couple of hours long, and then you can wishlist the full game for when it finally fully launches, if it's something that you enjoy. But I talked to this developer just about what's going on with their game, and I also gave some of my own commentary about the state of the industry. This post is over on my X, but I said the Western AAA gaming industry has shifted its focus away from its core audience, favoring products for smaller, less engaged demographics. This shift has led to a noticeable disconnect between large publishers and their traditional fan base. This has, however, created an environment for indies to thrive. They can prioritize authenticity and community, crafting games that resonate with their players, and that is exactly the case with Knight's Path. Now, I asked what their plans were regarding the scope of the full release, and while you might get the impression that this is an arena fighting game, that's actually not the case with the full release. Knight's Path will be a proper open-world, story-driven RPG. Of course, as a small indie team, we're keeping the scope modest, the lead developer Hanzi said. The open world will be compact but dense, featuring one town, one village, castle, ruins, forests, valleys, and other areas to explore. Now, I said many gamers would agree it is better to have a limited number of fully fleshed out areas than to present a gigantic, empty world. This has been a major criticism levied towards recent releases like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and even modern Assassin's Creed, which tends to rely on repetitive gameplay loops scattered across an overly large map, which can feel more like busy work than meaningful exploration. I've always believed that quality over quantity is the best way to go, and this is a stance that I have had for many years at this point. I would rather have a shorter, smaller experience that is super high quality than a gigantic, sprawling, empty experience. And unfortunately, that is happening a lot now. Pokemon games have really gone downhill, at least in my opinion. Assassin's Creed is just not the same as it used to be. It doesn't have the same magic, but ultimately, I get that people are going to like these games, don't get me wrong. Some of these titles are still good, though at the end of the day, I can only give them so much wiggle room because they used to create really magical experiences and they just don't anymore. He said, "We plan to include 3 main types of weapons: long swords, sword and shields, and bows. These will feature the full progression system seen in the demo with skill levels such as novice, adept, expert, and master. Players will need to learn individual skills from different trainers to progress. In addition, we're introducing secondary weapons like spears, halberds, and other pole arms. These won't have RPG style progression, but will still offer variety in combat. And they are also striving to create a 16 to 28 hour long main campaign, which is pretty insane because I've streamed a lot of games on this channel, and just over, the past year, if you look at some games going from indie to double A's to triple A's, there's a lot of titles that don't even hit that. The AA release, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, provided an average of 8 hours of content. Luckily, that was on Game Pass. Princess Peach Showtime was about 10 hours. That was not a $70 game, but it was 50. I still thought that it was really excellent, don't get me wrong, but 10 hours is pretty short. Silent Hill 2's remake was only 15, and even the Game of the Year winner, Astrobot, holds an average playtime of 10 hours. I did go on to talk about, though, how a major issue within the industry is the way we're treated by the people who only have jobs because of our favorite hobby. In 2024, the gaming industry is forecasted to generate $208 billion, up from 5.4% in 2023. Compare that to Hollywood, which is a measly $12.3 billion. The gaming industry employs 727,000 people in the United States alone. So you'd think that they would have a little bit of respect for gamers, but of course, they sadly don't. Now, business is the focus for developers, right? They need to make as much money as possible, but they still need to give us a product that is worthwhile, and they still need to try to respect us as customers, and they really don't anymore. And while studios need money to make games, the lead dev of Knight's Path went on to say, "We are independent developers and we plan to stay independent so we can stay true to our vision. Knight's Path is a game made by gamers for gamers. We're prioritizing fun gameplay above all, and we firmly believe that is exactly what gamers want," which I could not agree with more. I love seeing gamers step up to the plate and just try to create a really fun, good experience, and that is exactly what they are doing here. Now, I did have some criticisms about the demo. Primarily was actually the voice acting, because I had a suspicion that it was done by AI, which was confirmed. He said, "You guessed correctly. The voice acting in the demo was done by AI," and it was probably the loudest critique we received, and we totally understand why. Back then, we didn't have much of a choice, but for the full game, we do not plan to use any AI voices. Luckily, after the demo release, many voice actors reached out to us volunteering to lend their voices to the full game. We absolutely plan to answer their call and give them that opportunity. And I've said this a lot. I think AI can be a really great tool, and I completely understand that when you are trying to just get your vision on paper, or in this case on a screen, it's great to utilize tools like that so you can really get a feel for what you're creating. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be in a full release, and it's not going to be, which is awesome to hear. Now, I played the demo in its entirety myself, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was very reminiscent of Gothic 2 and even The Witcher. I was happily surprised when I didn't encounter any bugs or glitches, and while some areas have not been fleshed out like the voice acting, I would recommend, putting it on your list. That's what I said in my post. I stand by that. When this fully releases, I'll definitely be playing it, and I will definitely be following, the development cycle. And I mean, this game is very, very pretty for what is already being created just by a team of a couple people. That the original demo was actually only created by 2 individuals, and now there are some more people that are part of the team. But to have this being created by only 2 people is really fantastic, and they are very active on their social media. They are giving a lot of updates with new images and new renders, which is really, really cool. And ultimately, I'm just excited to see what they continue to do. Like I mentioned, though, heading on over to Steam, it is sitting at very positive, 379 all reviews. And yeah, I mean, there were definitely some people that were criticizing it. It's not like there's no negatives, but Ultimately, it is still good to receive negative reviews because that just means that you can take those people's feedback into consideration, and they are really focused on doing that. And like I mentioned, indies are booming right now. Even one of the Game of the Year nominees, Balatro, is doing fantastic. I personally haven't played Balatro yet. I didn't have really any hype for it. I know people are loving it though. As you can see, it's got 37,977 as all-time peak, which I mean isn't a crazy number by any means when you've got Black Myth Wukong's at 2.5 million, but it's held really consistently 30,000 people in game right now, and the all-time peak was really close to this number 9 months ago, so it's held players very well. And if you head on over to Steam, it's sitting at overwhelmingly positive with 82,604 reviews. So I love seeing indies thrive, and right now they really are. With the awful state of the mainstream industry, people are looking for alternatives. We've heard from like Korean developers that their industry is booming right now, that games coming from their region are doing so well because people are looking away from the Western industry. They're looking for alternatives. Koreans are doing great. Japanese studios are doing good. Even Chinese studios have been hard at work pumping out really high quality experiences like Black Myth Wukong. So this is another game that I would highly recommend you add to your Steam wish list. You keep an eye on, play the demo, and I'm sure that I'm going to be talking about it again in the future. But I love seeing indies thrive, and I also really love getting a chance to talk to the people who are trying to create new upcoming products that are, in my opinion, really going above and beyond because just the bad state of the mainstream at this point in time. At least some people are actually listening to gamers, unlike the Ubisofts and the Obsidians and the BioWares. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.